All right.
Good evening and welcome back to Making an Impact. With tonight's conversation is one of a lot of families struggle with. It is one that a lot of families struggle with, but don't always talk about. It's about entitlement. We're getting into real difference between helping your adult children and your young adult and enabling them, especially as parents who are trying to do the right thing without doing too much. This is going to be an honest, eye opening discussion. And I'm excited because our guest tonight definitely has the gas for this conversation. He brings wisdom, real life experience, and a perspective you don't want to miss. So let's get into it. So tonight we have Hershey Arnold, or Alford. I'm so sorry about that.
Close
Hershey
enough. That's it.
Alford. Welcome to tonight's conversation, Making an Impact. Uh, what's next? That's the topic of discussion always on this show. But our
Understood.
conversation tonight is about entitlement. When is it too much with helping your adult children, young adults? But before we dive into that, Hershey, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm originally from Baltimore. I'm newly married for a year, my second marriage. I have three kids, all adults now, so I'm kind of an expert on this. I'm a musician, but I'm also a consultant for HD Supply, who provides multifamily help with properties around Atlanta.
Okay. Nice, nice. And so we have you on this show tonight because, again, you are a father.
Yeah,
Uh,
indeed.
you have adult children. I understand. So I'm sure in some shape or form, you might have some sort of experience or some guidance that you maybe can help parents who are torn between the two. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. So, Andrette Chapman, co host here. I don't like to use the word single mother because I do have a co parenting situation with my son's father. I'm the mother of one teenage boy, 15, and it's difficult sometimes living in a household where my son is with me the majority of the time. So I rely on his father a lot when it comes to the discipline. Even though we don't live in the same home, I am fortunate that he does have a father in his life. But I have a lot of friends and females that I know that are not as lucky as I am. Right. So even with that being said, I still struggle with when am I doing too much? Again, he's 15 going on 16. Even though he's not a young adult, he's almost there, right? So the struggle is, when is the discipline too much? When is the entitlement too much? When should he be doing chores? When he should? It's just so full, right? It's just so much. So you've
Okay.
been there and you've done that. And I read your bio. You also worked with teens and young adults in the past. You
Right.
have been a father figure to many of your children's friends.
Right.
So I'm sure you live long enough to
Yeah.
share some insight. So let's start with teenagers, right? What advice or what tools, what tricks, what do we need to know? Take over.
Well, when you said, when is this and when is this not enough? Yeah, well, my kids were doing chores at 5 years old.
Hmm.
They knew everybody had a job to do at five. My daughter makes this joke, which I don't even think it's a joke anymore. Her age that I damaged her because she can't leave her house without making up her bed, and I don't feel like that's a bad thing. The
Right.
reality is, you're not really raising children; you're preparing adults.
Hmm.
'Cause they're going to be adults way longer than they're going to be children. And if they don't turn out successful, it's really kind of your fault. Like it's up to you to send them and take them where they need to be. It's a many times you see somebody in a restaurant or a store or at work, and they're doing and saying things, and then in the back of your mind, you be like, your parents failed you. They didn't set you up to deal with the real world because nobody cares. The things that you can say to your parents and cry and whine, the real world, they just don't care anything about what's bothering you. So if you're not prepared for that and you step into this world where everybody is literally dog eat dog, you'll be trampled. So it's up to your parents to prepare you for these tough decisions dealing with people face to face, being able to look people in the eye and say what you think, holding your own, demanding, commanding respect, et cetera, being responsible, paying your own bills, understanding how to clean your house, how to, pay taxes. Like those are things that you don't learn in school. Like they don't teach you how to buy a house, how to get a loan, how to, none of those things. So it's up to your parents. Most of my friends, 80% of my friends are educated. My wife is a principal. My mother was a school teacher in Baltimore for 40 years. And the one thing that I know all my friends and family complain about who are educators is that they don't get enough time with these kids, but parents expect them to do everything. But that's not their job. It's our job as parents to give them everything they need to be successful. They're just learning books. I went to school. I'm a professional. I do well. I've always had a great career, and I haven't used, trigonometry ever in my career, right? Like I didn't need that. What I needed to know was how to get along, how to navigate life, the real stuff that you need for the rest of your life, because that your teenage years go fast, and you just got to be prepared. And it's our job as parents to prepare.
So you said your training started at 5 years old. You started preparing your children at 5.
Yes,
So you have a boy and a girl?
I have two boys and a girl.
Two
I have
boys and a girl.
a son. I have a son in Baltimore. He did not grow up with me, but
Okay.
we've grown to be really close, and he still leaned on me during that time that he wasn't living in Atlanta.
Do you think the discipline and structure should be set up differently depending on your gender, or is the discipline and structure the same, or should be the same across the board?
Okay, ideally, it should be the same, but I can guarantee you, I disciplined my sons way differently than I did my daughter.
Hmm.
And it was a little bit like a little more gentle.
Hmm.
Like even now with my sons, they will if something's going on with me and they don't know and they don't believe me, they will call my daughter because they don't think I would lie to her.
Okay.
But they know I would tell them anything. Like,
Hmm.
my conversations with them is just different. It's like men talking about men stuff.
Right.
When I talk to my daughter, it's like, yes, baby, this, yes, baby, this. It's just different. But she still learned the same thing. She just received the discipline different. You know,
Right.
your sons, as men do, they always are going to kind of buck, try things on their own until something goes wrong where they can't do it anymore. Then they come back and be like, okay, I should have listened to what you told me. Okay, this is just the nature of men anyway. We want to be, the alpha male all the time. But with
Right.
girls, I believe they look to their fathers for their guidance.
Hmm.
My daughter is 33. She has two master's degrees. She's very successful. And my sons are too. But my daughter listened to everything I said. I said, these are the classes you need. This is the school you should go to. This is the reason why you do this. She got her second master's. And I was like, I didn't know. It was like a surprise. And when I asked her, I'm like, but what did you get it for? And she said, because you told me I had to.
Hmm.
And and I realized, I'm like, I did say, like, you got to get these degrees so you could be successful, because working hard and working with your hands, it doesn't build character. It just makes you tired and it hurts your body. So I wanted them to have jobs where they weren't busting their head against a rock trying to get rich. So,
Right.
but the discipline is the same all the way around. It's just how it's presented, how it's received. And that's the only difference.
So staying on the topic of preteens and teenagers, right? Is there an age where you feel like it might be too late for the discipline? Because
Yeah,
let's just say, okay, and so what
there
would that
is.
age? What
I
around what age
mean,
you think is too late?
it really depends on the kid.
Okay.
But as a parent, you can't wait till your son, for example, is 15, but now he's 6 foot tall, and try to snatch him up. So see, now he's feeling himself. He's feeling like he's a man. He knows enough. He's strong enough. He doesn't have to listen to anybody. But both of my sons are like, 6'2", 260, right? 280, right? But when I say something to him, it's literally like, yes, sir, you're right. It ain't, they don't buck. They might be like, yeah, but I'm like, but I said what I said. I'm telling you this because I know what I'm talking about. Shut up and listen. And it's like, all right, Pop, you got it. Because it started early.
Right.
Okay. It started when they were young enough, small enough to understand that I'm not just disciplining you because I want to. I'm trying to teach you that this is going to make you a better man one day. Do what I'm asking you to do because I've done some stupid things in life and I don't want you to make the same mistakes.
Right. And I'm sure you notice when your wife tries to discipline them, she probably got a lot of resistance or more resistance than you probably would
She
have.
did.
So
And
you were
she
in the
did.
home as the enforcer.
Yes.
So,
And you know, and I really didn't like that feeling. I the one thing that I was really big on is my mother is like the right hand to God to me.
mm,
Like if
mm.
my mother said it, it's the law.
But
But
where did
I
that come
wanted to,
from?
it was
Where did that
just
acknowledgement come from?
well, I grew up in a house of five women, right?
Okay.
I didn't my dad was he was the enforcer type. But my mother, I did it just purely out of respect. No fear. It was I did what she asked me to do out of love and respect. Right? I feel like when you love and respect somebody, you give more than when you do it out of fear. Okay. And I did things my father asked me to do because I was afraid. But my mother, when she asked, she did it. She had compassion behind it. It was like, please don't do this, baby. Don't. And he'd be like, I don't want to upset my mom. Right. So I taught, my son that you are to respect your mother no matter what, even to this day. Like if she says something to my son, and this is my ex-wife, who
Mhm,
I am pretty much like we're like really good friends still to this day.
mhm.
If if he's complaining about it, I just say, I don't care. It's your mother. Do it anyway. I know she's wrong. I know she's making you crazy. She's earned the right to be crazy. Give her what she wants and be okay with it.
Mhm, mhm.
If my son is tells me, "Oh, Pop, I really don't want to do that," but like, it's okay. You
Right.
don't have to do it. I'm strong. I could do it myself. But they never tell me no. They would never say that. They'd be like, "I'll be right there,"
Because
you
your
know,
dad.
because I'm dad, and I was fair, and I know I was. I was very fair. I was very loving, and I was very affectionate. So my son would do stuff to get in trouble, and I would yell, be upset, pissed off, and then I'd be okay. We can fix this. We just can't tell your mama.
Right.
Because I've done things that were worse than that. And I'm like, I just needed somebody to hear me and understand why I did it. So if you understand the reasoning behind why boys are mischief, and and stubborn and et cetera, you understand that they're just trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
And the worst thing you could do is make them feel like they can't tell you when they've done something wrong, because that just leads to worse actions. Because they're going to keep going until they figure out how to make it happen. And it's like walking in the dark. Eventually, you're going to fall and hurt yourself.
So what advice would you give to women who don't have the help, who don't have the male figure in the home or the male figures in the family to counteract that testosterone, that teenage male, and to give that guidance?
Yeah, you really, and I see a lot of this honestly, but you really need to get them into some type of sport or find a teacher, something that and they don't. It don't have to be sports. Like I played sports a long time, but the man that I looked to the most was a music teacher, and because I'm a musician, but he literally like saved my life with the conversations we had and making me see that there was another way, another outlet outside of my anger, and being always having to be an alpha male type personality. But you need somebody to, steel sharpen steel, right?
Mhm.
And your mother by nature is going to be a little more docile. She's going to be little more lenient. My baby this and my baby this, and then the father going, man, this kid on crack. What's wrong with you? This boy is.
Right. Right.
You don't see what he doing.
Right. Hmm.
And mama like, no, not my baby. Like even to this day, my ex-wife and I had conversations, and she'll be talking about my son. He's 30, 34. Almost forgot. He's 34 now, and she still talks about him like he's five.
Happens.
Yeah, and I look at the phone, I'd be like, what are you
Baby.
talking about? That's her
Right.
baby.
That's her baby.
Okay, believe me. And I treat my daughter like that, but it's my daughter. I guess you know, it's a
Come
girl.
on. See,
Yeah, I know, but
and
that's the
mothers
thing.
feel that way about their daughters.
That's true. But
So
My daughter ain't never buck. Like, you understand what I'm saying? She she
that's
never
me.
got she never got that testosterone boost where she felt like she I only had with my son that lives here in Atlanta. I had one situation where like my son played football in high school. He's always a big kid, right? But we're not the same people. We're not from the same neighborhoods, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he lived in Alpharetta and Grayson. We ain't the same. And I'm from West Baltimore. And one day I pulled up from work and I pulled in the garage and I could hear him yelling. And I'm like, who's yelling in the house? And he's arguing with his mother. And before I know it, I jacked him up. I got him in a chokehold and I throw him down the front steps. He's 6'2", 280 pounds. He could take it. And I made him understand that your mother is never, you're never to raise your voice to your mother. So if there's not a male around who could sometimes
Right.
snatch them boys up and put it, that was the first and only time me and him ever had an issue.
Wow.
Ever. I had a
Wow.
conversation with her. I made him sleep outside the whole night.
Wow.
Yeah. And I called all our friends who he was friends with their sons, and I'm like, he is not to come to your house because he had to understand that the life that he lives, we've provided. And if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have these things. And if you grew up where I grew up, then you would be ecstatic to live in this life that you live in. I never had that problem with my daughter. She might have been sassy where you had to pluck in them, the lips a little bit.
That's the
You go,
girl.
hey, watch your mouth. You're a little too sassy. But they never gave any real problems that made things like, oh my God, what am I do? When you make, as a parent, when you make a lot of sacrifices and stuff for your children, you think by nature that they're just going to be appreciative. But they don't know all the stuff that you've been through to make them happy. They don't understand what you lost so you can give them more.
What you never had. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But never had, nowhere near what they had. And you
Right.
don't tell them that. You just, one day you go, hey, you need to understand, like, this wasn't easy. My ex-wife was 19 when our oldest son was born, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were living in Baltimore and I had to figure out, like, I don't want to do this here. So we packed up, we moved away to Atlanta, sight unseen. But when you're raising boys, if you don't start the discipline early, you can't come back later on when they're acting up,
Right.
right?
So
It has to be, I don't believe in that healthy fear part. I believe it has to be a mutual respect. It has to be almost an admiration, especially for his mother. Like he has to, adore his mother enough to understand that she deserves and requires all your respect.
right.
That's enough. It was enough for me to when stuff was going wrong growing up, and I realized that I was going to get in some trouble. I wasn't afraid of the police. I was afraid of breaking my
Your
mother's
mother.
heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
No,
was all I
no,
cared
I
about.
definitely agree. I definitely agree. And then, being raised in the 80s and 90s, being an 80s
Yeah,
baby, I understand that fear and that reverence. And to your point, that's something that was cultivated in me at a young age, right? You didn't play with your mother. My mother didn't have to say too
no, you
much. She would
didn't.
just give a
No.
look, talk through her teeth, because
Yeah,
when she said she was going to do something, she did it.
she
And
did it, and and
yeah,
and, and, that, and that was okay. See, my mother literally is like 4'11". She
how
does
tall is
not
this?
project any fear whatsoever. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
none. My father was like 6'2", 250 pounds. He was just, he was a beast of a man with a lot of anger. So, but I respect my mother more because I cared about her feelings and more
But
than anything.
But do you think you would have had that respect as much as you did if your father wasn't in the home? Because he was the enforcer also, right? Like you knew you had that big presence there. Were there ever moments where you're like, man, I wish I could say a few words, but I just
No,
can't because daddy
he
home, you know?
he didn't. The way I pushed for my son to adore and respect his mom, my father didn't do that. He didn't tell me that that was the norm or anything like that. He showed me completely the opposite. Okay, he was loud, brash, abusive, disrespectful,
Mm-hmm.
everything that a man was not supposed to be to his wife and kids. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I had enough self understanding to step out of that and say to myself at a young age, I will never be that man.
Mm,
So it started at a young age where I'm like, I'm watching my mother hurt, and I'm
mm,
like, I will never hurt her like that.
mm.
So that's where it came from. So I grew up in that whole thing. It was like, my mom is the right hand of God. You can't
Right,
say anything to her. And
right.
that's how it is to this day. And that's how I want my sons to treat their moms. And,
Yeah,
and it's important, to honor your mother. And it's not because I was taught, it's because I learned it. It
you
was it
learned
was
it,
built by
right?
fire. Yeah, I
But
witnessed it, realized it.
and there's a lot of women too also going through with their teenage daughters as
Yeah,
well. Like in the world of social media and all the influencers and the TV shows that kind of reinforce, being super masculine and the fighting and the
yeah.
bucking up and the lack of
Well,
respect. It's almost like being disrespectful is cool.
it is, but the problem, and what I've noticed is that the mothers that through that with their daughters is because they think once their daughters is born that they have a doll baby they can play with. It's
Mm.
like, I finally got my doll, and
Mm.
I'm going to play with her like that. And then one day she's not going to be a little girl anymore, and she's going
That's
to
right.
have a lot of attitude, and she's going to be disrespectful. Like, you have to have a limit. There has to be a limit. Like, and it's, I can count the times on one hand I spanked my three kids, and three of
Mm.
them was just one of my sons, and he know he deserved it. Right? He did some
Yeah.
crazy stuff. You like, what's wrong with you? But outside of that, it's like you can have a conversation, make them understand, and fix mostly everything. You really can. But you got to start early. You got to start
That's
discipline
real.
early, often, and be consistent. It ain't got to be harsh,
Right.
but it got to be there.
Yeah, especially with your girls. I'm glad you brought up that
Especially,
part,
yeah,
that doll baby conversation. My mother
hmm,
used to say, "I'm not one of your little friends," and I mean for
yes,
years. And
and
if
it's
she said
true.
she was going to do something, it was on site. So
Yeah,
I was more scared of her reaction embarrassing me in public, that it I didn't disrespect her in public. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because I was
Well,
afraid of that. But that doll baby is true. And also going back to being an 80s baby, my generation, I feel like we raised a lot of entitled children. um
right.
a lot of we've given them everything we didn't have. Most importantly too, the fear of God, right? So growing up, I don't know how many people my age really make their children go to church, and things of that nature, but growing up we went to church. Right? And if we
Yeah.
didn't go to church, my father rule was, if you don't go to church, you don't go do this activity. So it was a trade-off. Like, he didn't make us go, but we had a
No, he
choice, but
made
we
you.
were.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no. He made you go because if he gives, anytime you have a ultimatum,
Right. It's
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
quid
That's
pro
what it
quo.
is.
Like, you lose.
Right.
Yeah, you're forced, and I was like that too growing up. I am. I am far from a religious man. I have a lot of issues, but I read a lot, so I've learned a lot. And because the more I read, the more I learn, the more questions I have, and
Hmm.
yet to find the answers. Because I'm realizing we might have been duped, but that's
Hmm.
another thing.
That's another
But
topic. Right.
yes, but I was forced to go to church, and it really bothered me because my father was a raging, mean alcoholic. But yet
Mm.
he's a deacon in the church singing on the choir every Sunday, and I'm sitting there thinking, y'all don't know what he did last night, do y'all?
Right.
Right?
Right.
But on Sunday, everybody's a saint.
Right. But you know
Until
what?
Sunday
I
night.
brought that point up to say that we had some sort of structure, whether we wanted it or
Well,
not.
you
Right.
you have structure whether you want it or not, but I didn't make my kids go to church and they have structure, right? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, the church was not going to give me structure. All it was going to do was just put it frightens me is what they want you to be
Well,
afraid. So
well,
I
what
just
I
wanted my kids to be rounded and understand that you can believe what you want to believe, but right and wrong, you don't learn right, wrong, good and bad in church. You learn it from your parents. And
You learn
and
from
that's
your
it.
parents, but also
And
too, from
that's
my experience, it gave a sense of community and it gave a sense of moral compass, right? To each his own. But it gave a sense from my experience. It depends on where you go now. That's
No,
another
no, no.
conversation.
I had the same experience.
Right.
I had
So
to say, but the example I gave is that I'm in church and I know there's heathens in there, so they
right.
can't give me moral compass. Like, I got that with the beliefs that I had still. Like I do and give more to people and take care of homeless and volunteer, and I don't do the things that they do.
Right.
And
So
it's the whole thing is that just because you
right.
go to church don't make you a good person. It just means
No,
you go to church.
that's not what I was saying. What I was
Right.
simply saying, because each his own, that was your experience. Now,
Right.
my experience, my unique experience was that no, it didn't make me perfect because I'm flawed and all, because that's not what church is. Because if you're perfect, you don't need to go there, right?
Right.
But it gave me some type of guidance. It gave me a reverence for God and to worship with like-minded people. So that was just my experience. And what I'm saying is also too, for a lot of young people, I feel like my personal belief is that that reverence of deity, that reverence of God, I think is lacking today, which helps to counteract a lot of what's going on in society today that they have to deal with. Because believe it or not, and again, I go back to social media and the influence of social media and all the negative pulls that they're being distracted to go towards because they don't have that counteractive. They have the materialistic things, right? But they don't have the guidance. Now, your children are different because they have a mother and father in the home. But there are so many people now, unfortunately, that are raising children on their own. They don't have that balance. They don't have that mother or the father that can counteract that. So your situation is unique and you have a beautiful home. God bless you. You've raised some successful children. But I know a whole group of people that are lacking that, right? And so that's what we need, like some advice. The single mother needs help. She's raising this boy. She don't have a father figure, or
Yeah,
the
but
father needs
see,
help raising his single daughter, right? So
no,
I
Can I may I interject? I think
sure.
I think Andy, what I think what I hear a little bit or could be, and maybe at one point in time I probably did myself, was that experience of overcompensating as a single parent,
Yes.
right? Because Hershey, you
Because of
said
lack of.
earlier, the mother's
Mhm.
approach is going to be a little bit gentler than the father's in probably 85 to 90% of the cases.
well,
But also
yeah,
as
at
a single
times.
mom, as a single mom, sometimes, especially with younger children, we can kind of overcompensate because of you feel that the lack of, you're not having a dad, or or maybe in some instances
I think,
it's happening. It's a real thing amongst my community. It's been a real
yeah,
thing where
well,
they feel
we're
like
in the
they
same
gotta do.
we're in the same community. But this is what
Same
I'm going to say.
community, but different demographic.
Yeah, okay. But this is the thing, right? I've seen it on all sides. I lived in the same house with it, right? Like I said, I had four sisters. Three of them were single teenage moms. I
Mhm.
look at their children now. They're good people, right? And it wasn't because of my parents. And my kids aren't who they are because of their parents. Like we just kind of let them figure it out, but not figure it out. Like I'm guiding you, but you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. So there is a little bit of overcompensating, compensating, but we're at a time now where people are, I don't want to say woke, but they're starting to pay attention to every little thing, right? All the things, how can I say this? Well, I'm gonna say it. Like I felt like growing up, we were brainwashed to do certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like put the fear of God in us so we could do this and do that. And now they're like, hey, I read something that says this. Why is this? And can you explain that? And I'd be like, no, I can't explain it because you got to go look for it and find it because I can't give it to you. So they're starting to read more. Things are coming out where people are paying attention to stuff. We're just not trusting in the elders. You know what I mean? So the demographics is never that different. But as far as the single parents, single moms, and all that, it's the same thing as it was 25 years ago, 40 years ago, when my older sister had her son, and my sister underneath me had her son. I mean, she was like 14, and I look at him, her son now, and he's a chef in Baltimore. Never been arrested, never did anything wrong, never did any drugs. Great kid. It was all about just doing the things that you have to do that we all know the difference between right and wrong and good and bad and morals and all that. You just got to teach it instead of letting
No, no,
society
no.
raise your children.
What I'm thinking in terms of overcompensating is So you may have, yeah, and it can, you can grow up in a household, a two parent family household, and still grow up and be
and
cray
still
cray. Like,
and be a piece of
right.
trash.
I
Yes.
get that. What I'm saying,
Yeah.
coming from that personally, right? Myself, and then Andy, you know, you're experiencing it now. I can say from a lot of women that I know personally who were single moms, you do overcompensate because
They do.
there's that lack of a father figure. There's no uncles, there's no this.
Right.
So you feel like you got to do
Right.
this and you got to do that and you got to
Extra.
get this and you got
Right.
to be. So
But
you're running
But
on six wheels, and you're only a four-wheel car, but you somehow you mounted two additional wheels to make sure that you're
everything stays
so
on track. Yeah.
so that's where we're talking. So then from that,
No, I get it.
the
You're right.
children,
That's what happens.
sometimes we get that sense of entitlement from our children, as if, well, you're supposed to do it because you've been doing it. So why are you stopping now? So what I guess
Because
it
it
is
aged
the
out.
question.
You aged out.
What do they really age out though? Because
Yes,
we
right.
they do.
still continue
They
to
do.
do. So let's talk
Yes, they
about
do age.
that. How?
They
When?
have to
When do they
age out.
age out?
When?
When? Hmm.
When your kid is used to you get okay. Both of my kids drove cars in high school. I didn't want them to work. I paid for their cell phones, the gas, the insurance, everything. The day after they graduated, and I waited till my daughter, she was on campus at Georgia State. I paid for everything. I made sure her car had a place to stay, even though she couldn't even drive on campus. I paid for the car to stay on campus. That was crazy. As soon as she was done, I remember sending a text message to both my children and said, I will no longer be paying for your cell phones. I will no longer be paying for your car insurance. This is me letting you know you got 60, 90 days. Figure it out. It wasn't abrupt like that because if something happened, I'd have still did it. But they understood, oh, you've been doing this a long time. We know it has to end. Because I believe nobody is ready to face the world at 18, at 21. It didn't hit me till I was like 25 and I had three kids and was like, oh my God, I need to get my stuff together. Right. So if you're able to do it, if you're blessed to do it, you do it. But it has to come a point. And I'm gonna tell you the reality is if you did it the right way, they were prepared at 18. You just didn't give it to them at 18. If you started at 5 and made them understand, like when my kids were 10, they all had a bill to pay. They didn't pay the bill, but they had to make the phone call and say, I'm using this card to pay this bill, and this is the card number. All right, this is the confirmation number. Write the confirmation number down. Do those things. All right, put it in the file box that we had because that's what we had. They knew that was something they had to do. So they knew this is what life is going to look like when you become on your own. But now there's going to be 10 different bills. But you got to make sure every month that these are paid. So I prepared them up until the day when they had to do it on their own. Like I couldn't believe that Jasmine would come to me and tell me that she had friends that never wrote a check when she was in college. I said, you got to be kidding me. It's a joke, right? She was like, no, Daddy, they have no clue. So their parents didn't prepare them. I prepared them and I made them understand that this is what you have to do. Eventually, I'm going to stop and you're going to be ready for. And they were ready. They picked up on it. Was like, you ain't said nothing but a word. You got to prepare.
I,
And you start.
can I just let me just
You
say,
see,
I know your children, and you have some amazing
I know.
young human beings, right? But I
Thank
have
you.
someone in the chat who's also a young person that says, as a younger child, we didn't ask to be here. I agree
Oh, that's
with
the
you, sir,
dumbest
to
thing.
a certain extent with kids. Go
Nobody
ahead,
asked to be
Pastor.
here. Then leave, dude. Stop wasting time.
Can't tell them
Like,
to
don't.
leave.
Yeah, don't talk me to death. Like you say that, but you don't really want to go nowhere. You're thankful for being here. Make the best of it. You get one life. You live every day. You die once. It's up to you to find your way, make the best of it, and enjoy your life. It ain't your parents' fault that things didn't go exactly the way it should have. Some things maybe they should have prepared you for, so they didn't. But now, in this day and time, with all the social media, with all the communication, with all the knowledge, chat BT, I don't even know what that is. Never used it. The point being, you got everything at your disposal. I heard a quote with somebody saying, I'm using it so much. Like life is hard. Buy a helmet. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Get it together. Get it together. Didn't
One of
ask
the
to
things
and
be
and
I
here.
then
yeah, one of the things
and,
I try to stress to my son is I like to tell him, I'm preparing you for my absence.
That's
If
right.
you my
That's
goal
right.
is to teach you how to survive without me.
That's
So
right.
he'll be 16 in April. At 16, I know I should have probably cut it off a long time ago, but I'm not doing your laundry anymore. At
Yeah, you shouldn't
16,
have been doing. You should have stopped at a
I
10.
don't judge. He sorts his own laundry, but
I am
I'm
judging
not
you.
doing
Yes.
your laundry anymore. But I started scaling back a whole
Yeah.
lot leading up until, because once you're 16, it's a wrap. I'll cook on Sundays and cook during the week if I feel like it.
No,
You
no,
know,
no, no, no. He should be
Really?
cooking for you. Yeah, I'm serious. Like seriously. Everybody had a turn to cook in my house. Everybody.
Right, right.
You get a
that
turn to
that's
cook.
an
I don't care if it's sloppy
that's
Joe.
such a that is so unusual. Let me just say that, Hershey, your
Well,
situation is completely it's I didn't know to that extent because I've known you for a long
yeah.
time, but I didn't know to
Yes,
that
it was.
extent.
Everybody had a
But
turn.
it's very
Like if you if
unusual.
you if you came, I had a coworker years ago. Remember when I was running that big property in Duluth,
Mhm,
Idlewild, all of years ago? I had a
mhm.
coworker that came to my house because we had to go to court, and I said, "Hey, I gotta go past the house and get something." He walks in the door and he's like, "Dude, why is your house so clean at 12 o'clock in the afternoon?" And I looked at him like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Don't you have kids?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have kids." I said, "They gotta make their bed before they leave for school. They gotta make
Absolutely.
sure
I
things look
agree.
good before they like. What are you talking about? Like you, this ain't this ain't a free ride." But and that's the one of the things I did learn growing up is that it was five siblings. Both my parents, literally every I was 10 years old making sandwiches because it was my day to cook. That was the way it is. Your day to cook, your day to clean the kitchen. You got to make sure the bathrooms are clean. You got to do this. This is what you do. It was structure. Even though I didn't like it, I realized it made me. I'm the neatest person you're going to meet. I'm almost OCD, and I ain't got no shame in it. So I think it's a big deal that your kids are like that because it's important. It's just,
But that's
it's
something you
adulting.
carry. That's something you carry forward from your childhood. Your parents raised you guys to have that one day or one night that you needed to prepare food for the family. So you carried that
Yeah.
over. So again,
Now I
back
didn't like
that's
everything.
that's
That's
Yeah, I
the
didn't like
exceptional.
same.
everything. But I
Yeah.
like
But
that I didn't like it then, but I understood it after the older I got, the more I understood. There's a lot of people in the house. It's too much work for one person to always do it. So I got it.
right,
And
but
I also
again,
feel that, yeah,
go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry.
like in raising, like us raising, the entitled generation now, a lot of the structure that we had growing up, I feel like we scaled back because we didn't like a lot of it.
Yeah,
We felt like they were too hard. Our parents were too hard because Saturday we used to clean all day. We couldn't go
yeah, we
anywhere
don't.
until the house was clean.
Yeah, I ain't doing
So
that.
and so we scaled back on a lot of
Yeah,
that. We allowed them to sleep because I always say my mother gave me sleep apnea or something like that. I can't sleep because my mom always woke us up. We had to clean and do
yeah.
something. So like laying in bed
Spring
all day
cleaning.
feels like a sin.
Was
Yeah,
Right?
not
Laying
gonna
in bed.
happen.
and we had to do that too. But with my kids, I'm just like in the house they grew up in. We had three bathrooms, right?
Oh,
So there
look
was
at you.
yeah. In the house, when I moved to Atlanta, I had three bathrooms, but I earned that part. So the point is, like the bathroom in our bedroom, there was a bathroom upstairs. So that's you know, me and my ex-wife, we had our bathroom, which I really cleaned all the time. My daughter had one, my son had one. All you had to do was just if you do it every day, it ain't cleaning. Really, you just straighten it
Right.
up.
Clean behind yourself
That's all.
every day.
That's all you just
Yeah.
clean up behind yourself. So it becomes. I go to my daughter's house now, and it's like it looks like a model home. It's so immaculate, right? And I'm going, yeah, I
That's what
did
I'm
this. Like, you know,
So
and
about.
she likes expensive things that I didn't really teach her. But the point being is like it's a lesson in life. Your job as a parent is to raise adults, is to raise your children so they can leave you. That's it.
Essentially, right.
That's your job. But you want them to be functioning, contributing adults.
so
Yep.
guess what? Guess what? So
No.
I'm gonna take it here. So again, what Andy was saying earlier, and I stepped away for a minute, was just going back to some of the things that we learned in church. The Bible says in Proverbs 22:6 that we have to train up a child in the way that they
In
should
the
go.
way
And
he
when
should
he is
go.
older, he will not depart. That is a serious
Mhm.
principle. All the training that you
It's a
did and you
principle.
instilled in your children, the principles, they've carried them
Principle.
over. You taught them responsibility in the house. You taught them to care for the house, right? If you didn't teach them to do that, they may or may not have that now as adults, because some people came from households where if you walked into them, it looked like a pigsty. But when they got
Right.
older themselves, they didn't live like that. They don't live like that. That in itself was training, right? Right? I'm not talking semantics. I'm
Yeah.
being for real. And then people
Right.
No, no, no.
came from
It is training. 'Cause yeah.
some people came from the perfect, situation, and you walk into their house and it looked like their parents never raised them to do anything. You have you have
Hmm.
um you have people out there that are committing crimes that have that come from a beautiful home. You know, I was a teenage mom, and my parents were pastors. My father was a pastor, and my mother was there right with him. I
Y'all usually
guess
the
what?
worst
That's
ones though. So.
no, no, that's what they say. But it was a reflection on me. It wasn't a
Right.
reflection on them. It was not,
That's
No,
right.
because I
no, I know. I said
have
the
my
kids are
own.
the worst ones.
Yeah, I have my choices. I had
We
my
want to
own
try something
choices. I was
different.
taught.
Yeah.
Listen, I was
Right.
taught. I was taught. I was taught. But when I got to a certain age, I chose to either follow what I was taught or follow what I wasn't taught. But as I got older, I came back to those principles because I realized that what's out there in them streets, one for me. It's a lot scarier than I thought.
A lot
So
scarier.
again,
And
either way, we're training
yeah.
our children every single day. Some people, Hershey, you guys did an excellent job, right? Some people aren't going that far, but in any case, we're still training them, whether we're training them or not training them. We're
Right.
training them. We're either training them to be successful, to be clean, to work hard, or they're watching our lives and they're making decisions based on what they see and they're familiar with. So either
Of
way,
course.
we're training.
Of course.
Yeah.
You've
So
known me
again,
for over 20 years, and you've never
yeah,
seen me have a drink, right?
right.
You,
Never.
so because my father was alcoholic, so I learned that I don't want to be that guy. So yeah, you learn from other people's mistakes. That's just human nature. But
Right.
if you still, if you can help it along and instill some things without, being overbearing or whatever, they'll keep it no matter what it is, and that's just the way it is. I mean, my kids grew up in Alpharetta and Gracie. They have friends
Let
who
me
are parents are crazy successful, but they're knuckleheads, and you don't understand why because it's just who they are as an individual.
Who they are.
Yeah, you can't
so
help it.
for you, let me so for guys, Hershey, you said for your kids at 18, you sent the text message and said, "Hey, I will not be paying for your cell
No, it
phones."
wasn't 18. It was after 18. Yeah, it was
Okay. How
after, I waited a few years. It was like 21, something like that. Like I kept doing it
yeah,
up until like 20, because Jasmine was still in college on campus. So
college. So you think 21, Andy, is an appropriate age? Do you
21, yes. Given the information and the knowledge that I have now, and having my first real job at the age of 19 and putting myself through college, I actually think after they graduate from school, um, whether it's 25, as long as they have a goal and they're working towards something, I have a rule, the same rule that was given to me. You can stay with me after high school as long as you are building a career for yourself or getting higher education. That's my contingency. You could stay with me because I know it's hard out here, and I wouldn't want you getting your first job having to pay rent. I want you to stack, stack, stack. So I want
right.
to give my child a head start, given the information that I have.
Well,
And being that conversation, I'm not trying to cut you because I know
no,
time,
you know.
we're running out of time. But I
oh,
really want to address. Oh, I just really want us not to forget that I want to focus too to get to the young adults, right? So we talked about the teenagers and we're touching on the young adults, but I wanted to read one of the surveys that was taken by the National Associations of Home Builders, they said nearly one third of young adults ages 18 or 34 live with their parents,
Hmm.
reversing a previous decline. So, you and I had an earlier conversation, Hershey, about 80s babies moving out early. It was a different time then, right? People were having children at 18. A lot of young women my age had children in high school, 18, 19. That was prevalent and very common. But a lot of young adults now, they're not having children as fast. They're staying home longer.
Yeah.
So that goes back to the enabling part. Is that a good thing? Is it healthy? How do we weigh in on that conversation?
I don't think it's unhealthy, honestly. Um, some people just aren't prepared. A lot of times we are forced into situations that we're not really prepared for, but it's
Prepared.
you have to, like, because
Right.
your parents didn't have it like we have it now. Like, I am 10 times more successful than my parents were, right?
But shouldn't they
And
be more prepared? Shouldn't they be more prepared that we have it and we've given them these
well,
opportunities?
you would think so, but sometimes you weaken them a lot of times because of that. And my sisters would give me grief because my kids drove to school. They got everything they wanted. I told her I want my kids to work. If they asked for it, I gave it to them. But they didn't understand that there was a lesson in the back of that. Like, I had a conversation before you got the things you wanted, right? They live good lives now without me. And they buy me things that I like, because I made them understand that this don't come easy. I didn't wake up one day and it fell out of the sky. I bust my head for this. This is what I did for this. This is what I did. And I believe no matter how old they are, they're still your children, right? And
Mhm.
if you're a few years ago, I had, Lisa, if you remember, I had hurt my back at work and had to get surgery. And I was living in the house alone. And my son was going through a thing where he was trying to save money. And I said, you could always come back home. Like, it's a 4-bedroom house. There's no big deal. Like, if you need help, I'm not going to watch you struggle. That's crazy. Came back home, saved a bunch of money. Then he got another apartment. Once things, he got it out of his debt. See that?
Mhm.
I have a friend in Baltimore who's big on that. Like, it's just him and his wife. He got this big house. And I'm like, hey, man, why don't you sell that house and get you just a 2-bedroom apartment? And he said, no, what if the kids got to come back? And I was
Mm.
like, and I remember going, you're right. Because you never know what's going to go wrong. And we talk about the struggles and stuff that we had. When I was living here in Atlanta, I had some struggles with money and stuff where I had nobody I could call and be like, hey, mom, I need $1,000.
Mm.
I had to figure it out.
Mm.
I had a family and I figured it out.
Figure it out.
Like, literally working a job where I'm running high end apartment complex, but I'm working at McDonald's part time because I need a little bit extra,
Mm.
a little bit extra, right? And I'm going, all I need is I just need another $1,000 a month. I need another, then I could do this and I could do that. And once I finally got to that point, it was good, but you had to get there. But I had nobody I could call to say, I need help.
Right.
But our kids do.
Okay, still.
So the blessing is we are available, we are alive, we are healthy, we can help them. And that's what we'll do because we should. So if you had, again, if they were trained up to do all the things that they're supposed to do the way you want them to do it, they'll be fine. But we all have hiccups. We all have moments we didn't expect.
We have to reset. Yep.
We have to reset. Medical stuff, God, no, medical stuff. I went through some stuff last year I was not prepared for. And them co-payments were hitting me in the head. I'm like, whoa, what? I got insurance. Why am I getting a
Right.
bill for this much
Some
money?
co-payments are
Because I didn't have the right insurance.
right.
Because I never needed it.
Mhm.
Now I know. But I was blessed because I have a good enough job. I got married. My wife got a good job. So, we were going to be okay. But if I didn't have all that, who was I going to call? Actually, I could have called my kids. I would have been fine. So, they would have made sure I'm taken care of. I really just thought about that.
Feels
Yeah, they
good to
would
be
have been
able to
like,
say that.
yeah, they would have been like, what
That's
you did? Like, listen,
it's a blessing. And Hershey, it's a blessing
yeah,
that you can you can
Oh,
get
I
to
know.
this point in your life,
Right.
and as you are on the other side of your
Yes,
life, and if
I
you
love
have
it.
a hardship, you can reach out to your kids,
I
right?
can
That
reach out to
that's
them.
great.
Yeah,
And a lot
yeah.
of us are in that situation.
My son
A lot of
see,
us are in that
we're
situation, Hearst,
never going to
right?
see
But then
that.
there's some parents that can't call
A
their
lot of
kids for
parents.
nothing, but their
For
kids are
nothing.
And
always
there are a lot of
calling them.
parents,
So that's what we're talking
right.
about. Like, at what point do we say time out? Like, okay, that's it. Get yourself
Yeah.
together, not so you can take care of me, but get yourself together so you can.
Well,
One of the things that I want to do is live like I'm not here anymore. What would you do if I'm
yeah,
gone?
Because
but
some,
you are here. You are here. So they
but
don't
to
But
what
I'm saying
understand.
extent?
the mindset
Right.
is get your mindset so that instead of let me teach you how to fish so that you won't never be hungry. I'm gonna teach you
Right.
how to
But
go
you
get
should have
it.
they should have had that at 18, mama. Like I'm sticking with that. They
You
should have
can't,
had that. Yeah, yeah.
But
Yes, you can.
sometimes they're
but there
still
comes a
gonna
point.
need help. But sometimes they're going to
Listen,
need help.
I
But when does
know,
help
I
help?
know. The
When does they
mindset is
stop
there
being
at
help?
18.
Right.
You
But when does
just
it
like
stop being help versus
whenever they don't need it
entitlement?
anymore.
Well,
It's
no,
not
I
entitlement.
disagree. I
It's not. Well,
disagree.
listen to me. Let me explain it to you.
Go, go ahead.
It's not
Mhm.
forever. What I'm saying to you is, if the hiccup happens, you are available, but you're not paying
Right.
their cell phone bill and giving them gas money. That's where entitlement comes in. Needing help because something fell apart is different.
That's
When I had my
That's
back
different.
surgery and I didn't work for a year, my daughter
different.
said to me, she said, "Daddy, you need to come live with me." And I laughed. I'm like, "Baby, I got savings. I could take off from work for 2 years. I'm fine. I was prepared for this." But I was honored that she said it. My oldest son in Baltimore, I went through some, my medical stuff. He's like, "Pop, do I need to send you some money?" I'm like, "No, I don't need your money. I'm good." But the fact is, they understood is where we want them to be, but they knew at 18, 19, 20, and 21 that this is where they needed to be once they got 30 years old. So they focused on
Right.
that. And it's not when you're paying your kid's cell phone bill and they're 35, that's entitlement. Okay?
Yeah.
That's bad.
Absolutely.
But if they have a great job and they decide I want to change careers or I lost my job because of downsizing, that's not entitlement. That's just taking
That's
care of
different. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
different. But you don't do that. You just don't have a cell phone, right? So be it. Like you too old for this. Get a second job. Like I have friends that do that. I ain't gonna lie. And I listen to them and I go, "Hey, I understand. You wanted to help your son out, but damn, you're doing a lot. Like you really you might as well move him back in the house and just take care of him now because he's 30 years old. You're still doing a little too much. But it's his kid. You can't tell a parent when it's time. Because in their mind, they thinking it, they know it's wrong, but they ain't gonna turn if they truly care, they ain't gonna turn their back. So the
Right.
entitlement it's a judgment. It's like what we think is entitlement, they think it's just taking care of family.
Mm.
That's it.
When I think the entitlement shows up when you say no. When
Oh
you
yeah.
say
If they trip,
no,
when you say no,
depending on the
And they
attitude,
cut you
then
off.
that's when we know that's when the
yeah, you
time is
know they
cut
were
off.
entitled. Yeah,
Yeah,
if I
that
say to my
because
kids, I'm like, dude, I ain't got it this week. They go, no, I understand, Pop, no big deal. But by the grace of God, dude just had Carter, and my grandson is special needs. He was born severely premature, and he needs extra things that insurance don't cover,
Mm.
right? So me and his grandmother, we will just tap in. And his mother, the baby's mother, is a registered nurse with like 3 degrees in nursing. She makes great money, but it's hard sometimes when it's extra stuff that you don't plan for. So the blessing is that we can dip in and be like, hey, what you need? And I just feel in your face you're worried about something. I'm going to cash at you or something because you got to take care of this. I know they don't cover that medicine that the baby need no more. How much is it? I'm gonna go half with you. You do what you can do because you can do it. If you can't do it, you can't do it. But if you're doing it just because they asked you, but they can really be doing it on their own or get a second job to do it, yeah, that's entitlement. And you need to cut that off. That
so
needs to
what
stop.
I'd say to all of our people that are watching us is We as parents reserve the right to say no
Hell
without
yeah.
guilt.
Yeah,
Right.
I have no guilt. I have
Yes.
none.
Yeah.
No guilt.
We
I
reserve
don't
the
I
right to
don't even
say
have to say no.
no,
Say no.
and no is a complete sentence. No can come without explanation.
No
I
is a
don't give
Absolutely.
complete
no
sentence.
explanation. This is my money, my house, my car. What is it? I don't care.
That's good
So
because,
I
like I said, do you have any questions in the chat? Are anyone have
I
any
don't have any
follow-up
questions. I
questions?
have I have a lot of statements that I'd like to read.
Go
Go
right
on.
ahead.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back. Let's see. Your parents raised you in a different generation. You raised your children differently. Now they're learning in this generation. This generation changed. And then someone asked where the biblical principles are, which we did. I did quote the scripture how we're supposed to train up our children, and whether we're training them directly or indirectly, they're getting training based upon their experiences in life, right? By what we teach
Right.
them, going to church, what we teach them in the house, they're going to take that information
Uh-huh.
and do what they want to do with it,
What
regardless.
they
Some
want.
folks
Yeah.
are successful, some folks ain't going to be because some people may be more prone to society and the culture than they are in their
Hmm.
familiar environment.
That's right.
Okay. And then someone said, I like what I guess what Andy was saying in that, but they agree with Hershey on some things, but he's acting like a parent in 2036 when we in the future and everything is free. I don't know what that means. Um,
No. Boy, they don't know me. They need to don't yeah, they don't know me. I know it ain't free.
and so this is the point, y'all. Maybe we can address
Well,
this one. See how they're saying
right.
they have it now. What about the generation with that's dealing with inflation,
Yeah.
cyberbullying, and
Yep.
suicidal tendencies? What more than back in the day? What about that? What about the
Okay.
inflation and
I can speak to that.
I actually think
And I and it's not only in this day. I'm 55. I've had four friends commit suicide, okay, because of life struggles. What we're dealing with now, and I know, and that's, I know that's going to be touchy, but where we are now, people are a little more weaker, and that's the truth. They are
okay.
soft, okay? Everything is like, oh, my feelings, this is how I feel. Nobody cares. Nobody. And if you give people around you enough power to dictate your emotions and set your life, then I can't talk to you. Like you gotta understand. I get it. I get it. My daughter made me understand that I was suffering from PTSD because of how I grew up. Okay. Inflation was always around. It's never gone anywhere. It's all relative to the generation. You have no idea. Just because if I'm making $50 an hour now, I promise you the same job that I was doing 20 years ago, I was making $20 an hour. It never changes. It grows with the generation. Cyberbullying, get off the internet. If you don't want
Get off
somebody
the
to bully
internet.
you on the cyber internet, don't get on the internet. You know,
Right.
right?
don't listen to it. Get help. My wife is a principal at elementary school, and she has specialty certifications where she deals with children every day who it breaks my freaking heart to realize that there are kids in elementary school who are threatening murder, who are threatening to rape each other, who are talking about, I want to die. And they want to do it because they see their parents are dysfunctional. And these are the things she deals with every day,
Every day.
every day.
Wow.
And it's sad when she comes home and one day, like I'm on the phone with her and I listen to the little kids getting out of their car and they see her and they're like, oh my God, your dress is so pretty. I just love you. And they love her and they hugging her. And then the next day she tells me, I'm like, hey, where's the little girl you always talking to? She said, oh, they found out she had leukemia. You're like, are you kidding me? These are the things that the people are dealing with every day. Then you got a kid who's like, I want to die. I don't like my life. And they got to stop everything they're doing to figure out what's wrong with this kid. These are people who have master degrees in these situations, right? So this is nothing new. This stuff has been going on for generations. Don't think you're some bad luck generation who all of a sudden feeling this stuff. Cyberbullying? Oh no! I didn't tell you about bullying when they're in your face, knocking on your door, cursing your mama out, talking about bring your son outside so we can kick his butt. Cyberbullying? And you mean to tell me all they do was close the laptop and it would have stopped? Come on.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
this,
But those are
nothing changes.
control. Yeah, right.
Inflation has always been there. It's always been here. Problems with jobs have always been here. Mental issues have always been here. It gets better, it gets worse. It's how we deal with it. I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like I'm not, empathetic to it, but I know for a fact it's just that now this is a weaker generation who just everything is about their feelings. They want you to
Right.
do stuff because of how they feel, and
Because
it's
how
like
they
nobody
feel. Yep.
cares how you feel. I say things out my mouth because I want to. I
Right.
am big enough and black enough to get away with it, and I'll be like, you don't like it? That's my who I am. So if you upset, you're gonna cry about it. Somebody else gonna be like, I can care less and walk away.
Right.
Don't get
And
it.
we
Don't
have all
want
these terms for everything. For every emotion, we
everything.
got a term. We have a definition. So I'm definitely with Hershey on that part.
Yeah,
And I
I know
also,
nobody cares.
yeah,
Nobody
but I would
cares.
also say,
That's
listen,
right.
the things that you cry about now, you won't cry about a few
You won't
years from now.
cry about it.
You know,
I promise you.
the guy you like at 15, I swear by
You,
20 you won't
you
like him, and
won't.
at 20 you ain't even gonna like the 20-year-olds, right? You know?
Yeah, the
So
stuff
your
that I went
Right.
through
feelings
when I was
coming back.
30 years old. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, everything changes. It's
it
all relative.
changes.
And cyberbullying. I can't believe somebody brought that up. Turn your phone off.
Hershey. Oh my
No,
But
goodness.
I tell,
I'm
but
sorry.
no, no, no.
I'm, I'm,
But
I'm,
Hershey,
I'm,
but
this is
those
who
are
I
real
am.
things.
Like,
Listen, th- I know, but those are real things that matter to people. Just gave
I
them
know.
advice,
I
right?
understand.
I tell
I
people,
understand.
I
I know
tell
it
people all
matters. And
the time when you're. But let me just say this real quick. I tell people all the time, if you're on an uncomfortable phone call, you control your
I
end of the
know.
phone. You can hang up without
Pick
even
up.
saying goodbye. So I agree
Man,
with you in that.
I agree
But
with
we
you.
have to, when people come with these concerns, we have to give them that advice, straight shoot it. Don't
Right.
sugarcoat
look,
it. Baby, if you're
I'm,
being
I, oh,
bullied on the
I,
internet,
I don't
get
sugarcoat.
off the internet. But no, what I'm saying is we
But,
got to give them that advice
well,
because
no,
people
yeah,
don't
tell them the
know.
truth.
Just-
No, well, they know.
They don't
They just don't want to hear it. The
They don't have
reality is that,
guidance,
like,
Hershey. A lot of people don't have guidance. A lot of people don't have
they don't.
mentors or a male figure like you in their
they,
life.
they
So
can
this
pull up
is
their
your
phone and Google it.
opportunity. This is
They
your
can Google it.
opportunity.
Yeah, chat
Just
PT can
told
get.
us- Actually, you just told us stay off the internet. So why are they using Google?
Not, if you on Google, Google ain't gonna cyberbully you. The point I'm at, like I hear it every day from my wife. I watch her heavy heart when she comes in and sit on that couch and she's telling me about some kid that's talking about suicide. Like literally in the first
Absolutely. That's a
grade.
real thing.
That's
That's
real.
a real
That's
Don't tell
real.
me
thing.
right. They don't even know what real problems are yet, but something
Right.
has them to
That's
the point
right.
where they don't want to be here no more.
Mm.
They have
Uh-huh.
no control. Everything they do is decided for them, right? And they've gotten to a point already. So I get a little bit of that, but it's like you got to find out what the issue is, get down, reach it. This is why I've always been big on the whole mentoring thing because I'm like, you never know what somebody needs. I've had people tell me, they said, dude, it's like having my dad and a big brother all in the same thing. You're talking to me like you're my big brother, but you're giving me advice like you're my dad, but you're saying things to me I need to hear. And I had this thing with my son and his friends, Sean, your nephew Sean, and they would say something stupid. I would smack him in the back of the head. They call it the reset. It was that way of going, oh, I did something wrong because Hershey hit me. And I'm like, yeah, let me tell you what you did. And then we have a conversation and we move on. They never do it again. But you can't, I'm sorry, you can't talk to me about inflation and cyberbullying and all those things when I'm going, everybody's been bullied. Everybody. I remember going to school in middle school and getting jumped by somebody because they didn't like my sneakers.
Right.
What? Got up, cleaned myself off. I'm gonna get him tomorrow. It lasted forever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, literally. Like, don't, yeah, come on. Man up. I'm sorry.
No, no, and Hershey, you know what? I have to agree because when you say that nobody cares, society is going to listen to you for a little bit.
For
A
a
little
little
bit.
If
bit.
you're
We
not
got
going
things
to,
to do. Come on,
if
hurry up.
so I
Hurry
agree
up.
with you.
We got to go.
If,
We got to go.
if you're going to a paid, even if you're going to a paid therapist, you got 30 minutes to an hour.
You got
But if
30
you're
Right.
seconds.
going to your friend,
And
if you're going to listen, but if you're going to your friend every day with your issues, sooner or later they're gonna stop answering the phone,
they're
or
gonna
they're not
tell
gonna
you.
answer as
You're gonna
much
start
Yes.
answering it.
because I
You
can't,
know what I say to my
and
friends that tell me the same thing every day? I'm like, so what are you gonna do about it?
What are you gonna do about it? Yep.
What are you gonna do? You know what the problem is. You explained it in detail. You talked to me 3 times this week with the same damn story. What you gonna do? Either you
Mm-hmm.
gonna change it, or you gonna leave it, or you gonna stay in it. If you're gonna stay in it, if you stay in the
Again.
if
Yeah.
you stay in the crap long enough, it stops thinking. You want to be there, so
You
stop
want to be
complaining
there.
to me.
Yep. I agree.
Stop complaining. I had a job
yep,
paying me great money. I didn't like the manager, right? I walked away from it, and I was like, "Whoa, that felt good." I mean, miss
Mm-hmm.
that money, but I feel better about myself. Now let me figure out what I'm gonna do because I was like, I'm not gonna be abused. I'm not gonna be treated like disrespect. Like you can't. I'm not a victim. You're not gonna make me
That's
feel
right.
so
like that.
Yep.
Like who are you? Like I'm in control. I run stuff.
Right.
If you don't like it, I'm a leader. Follow me. We're gonna go where I'm going, and then we'll figure it out once we get there. Even if I ain't got a plan, I'm gonna just take you with me, and then we can talk about it after we make it. But don't don't
like I've
think
lived
the
I've
world
lived
wants
a
to
lot of
hear
it
that.
because
Jesus
I
Christ.
agree with you on a lot of it because you know what? At the end of the day, I don't care who's advising you, who's doing whatever they're doing for you. The choice and the decision to make change the trajectory is
It's
yours.
yours.
It's on you. Yep.
So
I
you
agree.
gotta get to a point where we stop talking and just take action. And you listen, and I'm gonna come back with another scripture, Hershey. And it's again everything you're
No,
saying.
I've
I write
heard it
it.
before.
Wait a minute, hold on.
It's
The
our
Bible
show.
says no, seriously. The Bible tells us that faith without works is dead. So
Right.
you can believe you can believe in a whole lot of stuff, but if you don't take an action towards that, it's never gonna
Mhm.
happen. So you
Right.
sit in your mess, or you can get up and start doing something. So there again, me being who I am and being how I was raised, I take that scripture and I have to apply it to life. Now you don't have that, right? And I respect you for that. But Andy
I
and I
use it all the
definitely faith.
time. I use it all the
But no,
time.
but
Yeah.
faith without works is dead. So you're basically saying the same thing. Look, I have faith that this can get better. How? Because I received this information. I received this help. I have faith in what was told to me, what was shown to me. So now I got to get up and take action.
That's
If I
right.
don't take action, then I'm just doing this and nothing's going to change. So I agree with what you're saying, but I'm always going to come and tie it in to, to with a little
To the
bit of
script.
scripture here, just to let you know. We're going to give you some of this word, Hershey. We're going to give you some of it. And
Babe,
I
I've had
appreciate your,
that word all my life.
I know, but what I'm
And it's
I
not
got it.
gonna change.
I
I,
got it.
but what I'm saying is I appreciate you for being so authentic and being your I've never
Mhm.
known you not to be. So I wanted to tell you that
Mhm.
I do appreciate it. We got a couple of things. Hold on, hold on. Someone said the same. Someone said, "How many times do we was repetitive telling Jesus our same stories, our same fears, our same hurts, our same tears? How can you agree? How can I agree with that when we go to Jesus multiple times with the same situation? I agree with that because I can go in prayer, but people
Mhm.
don't want to hear our stories. So for the person that wrote that in our chat, yeah, I can go and pray about it. I can pray multiple times. I pray every day about my life and about my situations. I do every day. But I'm not going to call Jane on the phone every day and have the conversation with Jane because Jane does care after a while. First time Jane hears me, to hear me and authentically empathize with me, right? And show me some sympathy. But if I call Jane again next week with the same story, Jane is going to get sick of it. So, what we're saying to the person who wrote that is people don't care. They really don't. They don't want to hear it. After a while, all they want is updates. They
Right.
don't
And
really
it's
have
like
to want to update. So that when we say people don't care, sometimes people get sick of you. Yes, we have our faith. We can pray every day, and God's always open to hearing us. But we're talking about mortal flesh and blood here, where people just don't care
right.
and they don't want to hear it. They don't.
And it's
They
not
don't.
only that they don't care, right? To add to that, you have people that don't care, but then you have people that do care, but they have their own issues. They have their own burden, their
Right.
own cross to carry.
But
So it
people can
makes
get
your
overloaded
issue,
with your stuff.
they're overloaded. So, I've
What
come
we
to the
say,
point where
Andy?
I have to tell
What we
people,
say? My plate is full.
oh, my plate is full. My plate is
My
full.
plate is
And to
full,
this,
baby.
at this big
I
old age,
can't.
I have to start telling people my plate is full. So it's not that people don't care. Some people plates are just full, right? There's just so much going on. But on top of that, we know that faith without works is dead. But I'm with Hershey too with not making excuses, right? Like excuses is a recipe for failure and not playing the victim because we've all gone through things and some people have real life mental health issues. That
That's
is
right.
something not to play with. Everybody throws the term anxiety around. Everybody
Mhm.
throws the term being triggered around. You have some people who
Yeah.
have medication. They have to be on medication. They have to see a therapist constantly to regulate
Mhm.
themselves, right? So I don't play with those issues. We know when it's real or
Right.
not because a lot of times when you have
Right.
sincere issues, you're not asking questions. You're just gonna do what you're
Right.
gonna
So,
do if it
but
got to be
let me
done. God
just say
forbid.
something. Let me just say something to your point. And let me piggyback on that, Andy. And again, it's a case by case or it's a scenario by scenario. You know, somebody has some real issues. What we're talking about tonight is entitlement. If
Right,
somebody got some
right,
real issues, we're going to take the time, do what we need to
right.
do to care for that person to make sure that they're okay. But if, like Hershey said, if you have someone, whether it's your child or not, they're always give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. But they take their money, they're doing frivolous things with it, or they won't
Right.
Yep.
go to work,
Lack of
or
discipline. Yeah.
just undisciplined. No, that's what we're
Management.
talking
Yeah.
about. We're
Poor
not talking
management.
about somebody that got a real situation going on. Because no, I can't sleep at night sometimes knowing that somebody might be going through a situation. No, I've
Hmm.
opened up my home to people that needed a place to
Hmm.
stay before because they got a real, whether they messed up or not. Come on, you got a place to stay for a minute, right? To get till you get yourself back
Hmm.
together. But what we're talking about is entitlement. That the entitlement of, well, you're going to do this for me because you're my mom, you're my cousin, you're my this, well, you're my friend. I expect for you to do this. But sister, brother, you just had $600, but you went and paid $400 for a pair of sneakers,
Oh, that
and now
I can,
and now
man.
Or a concert
you went to the show or you went to get your nails done, and you knew that
where
next
your
week
hair
your
done
light
got
bill
a
was
new
due.
install.
So that's
Yeah,
what we're talking about.
that
Entitlement.
literally just happened to me. Literally like
That's what we're
Monday.
talking about. So, but I wanted to
Right.
Yeah,
clarify for the folks that are writing in the chat that we're really talking about that kind of scenario. At what
yeah.
point do
People
we
that think they
stop?
deserve your money.
Sometimes you may have to let that person's light get turned off so they can learn a lesson.
Hmm.
I'm
Sometimes
okay
you
with
may
that.
just have, but even if you go back and help them the next day, maybe they have to go 24 hours without the lights just so you can teach them a lesson. Maybe prioritize. And I think in me getting a lot of no's in my life, it helped me.
Yep.
It helped me
Yep.
as a person, as a young person. Hershey, you probably don't even know this about me, but I was put out my house at 16.
Mm.
And
I can
that's
see
another
that though. No, I'm
conversation.
just kidding. Yeah.
That's
I'm
another
just
conversation.
Offline.
Look, that's another thing,
After
that's
hours.
another conversation that we'll have. But no, seriously. So a lot of those life lessons that I had to learn at that young age, like taught me. But it wasn't that I still
yeah,
didn't make mistakes, because I did,
of
but I
course.
didn't
Yeah,
go as far as I
it's a lesson
probably
in
could
life.
have gone if I had not gotten that abrupt because my father was one of those you know strict strict. So we was in church 6 days out of the
The
week.
belt in one hand and the Bible in the next.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that goes
Yeah,
back
it
to
was.
Hershey, where Hershey said it starts early. It goes back to what he said. That training starts
Mhm.
early.
it starts early. This is what you have to
It
do.
does. It does. And if you don't, though, this is my other question. I got a question for you two. When do we start allowing people, not just our children, but people in general that we love, we support? When do we start letting them face the consequence? Is
Depends on
that
what the
easy for you?
consequences are. No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not because how can I put this? I lent out a lot of money this week, okay, because people were in situations where I was like, I want to say no, but it was real, okay, and I got to a point where I'm like, I remember almost being in that situation, and I had friends that I could reach out to and say, man, I'm in a bind, and then years later they call and say, man, I'm in a bind, right? We remembered each other, right? I remember when I needed you, and now I'm here for you. So you just don't do it a lot, but you let them understand, hey, I can't keep showing up. I got things I want to do, but it depends on who they are in your life. I really believe that. I mean, I got siblings, I got friends who are like family to me, as you know, Lisa. There's people in your family who are you would people think we're blood because I've been around them so long. And if one of them called me, one of your nephews called me, I wouldn't hesitate. It's like I know if you calling me, you're going through something. And if you need it and I got it, I have this thing that all my homies and I say, if I eat, we eat. And we true to that. We are true to it to the death. Like we mean it because we struggled together, we got successful together. So if I need you, I need you. So it just depends on who the person is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
If I got it,
So
I'm gonna make sure you get it.
someone said that it's a different type of spirit out right now, and the individuals are going through something totally different than what we did growing up. Parents these days don't have the fundamentals to do so.
I
I
agree.
can
That's
partially agree
powerful.
with
What
that.
parents?
Powerful. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, to the person
I'm with
who
you.
wrote that in the chat, can you please explain? Are you talking about the younger generation of parents, or are you talking about our age group? Because there are some very young, you know, a demographic. There's a demographic where I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think being a teenage mom, I was pretty responsible for as a teenage mother though, because I couldn't take my kid and just say to my mother and be like, babysit so I can go party. I wasn't allowed to do that. I
Yes,
had to.
that's right.
I
But I
What?
think they're talking about the knowledge and the tools on how to do this successfully.
But
how to
Maybe
do
the
life.
generation
Yeah, life
after.
skills, life
Yeah.
skills, and all those things.
The life
Okay, thank
skills.
you.
Because you had the parents you
Yeah,
had from a different era. So I
my
get what they're saying.
my dad did not give me life skills. Life did. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like he taught me what to do, how to be a good father, and all that type of stuff. He just said you got to get out at 18,
Mm,
right?
mm.
So he didn't. Can y'all hear me?
Yep. We
yes.
can hear you.
I'm sorry, it's the wrong Bluetooth. It's not doing what I want.
Mm.
This is better. Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hello.
Okay. What he did teach me is what not to do. Okay. But again, when people talk about now and then and before, it never changes. Only thing changes is the time, the date. The same struggles that people are having as teenage parents is the same struggle I had as a being a teenage parent. It's the same struggles my sisters had, and it really is. The only like my when I had a son in high school, it wasn't like the family came together and gave me some advice. It was like, hey, what you gonna do? You better figure it out. You got to get a job. You got to do this. It wasn't like, oh, you're gonna need this. This is how you be a dad. This is how, the same thing. You got to
Yeah, but you
figure
had
it out.
community. You
Who?
had
What
community.
community?
You,
What
because you
community?
mentioned that your sibling, your sisters, they lived with you at one time. You were
Right,
all together in the
but they
home.
were single. They had kids before I did. Like they had problems too. They
Right.
weren't
Everyone.
babysitting my kids with me. They were just like trying to figure it out and working jobs. And I mean, it was, man, it was like the Brady Bunch on steroids. It wasn't somebody nurturing us and teaching us what to do.
Right,
Like,
but you guys had one another as a resource to pull on. You
yeah,
understand what
not
I'm saying?
really.
A lot of
I
people
do.
don't have that.
I
A
understand
lot of
what
a lot of people don't have that community where
I
they're
understand.
really
Right.
doing it solo.
Right.
But
That's what it
It's
means.
different.
That's the word right there.
but I
That's
get
the
it.
word.
I get it.
Yeah.
Community.
I understand what they're saying. They're doing it solo, but they're not. They don't really have to do it solo because there are programs that he can get into at the schools, and I know that for a fact because I got a principal sitting across from me right now that can tell you everything. My ex-wife runs the Gwinnett County Co-op now, and she was a nurse at Children's. There's so many things that you could do for free and get it that's not canceled by the government to help you. People just don't go look for it because they don't want to look for it.
Or they
I'm
don't
telling you.
know. They don't know. So I'm
Oh,
glad
come
you brought
on.
that up.
Then go
Listen,
find out.
everybody,
Come on.
it's easier
That's,
said than done, right? It's
oh,
easier
no, it's
said than done
easy.
because a
It's
lot of the
easy.
information I received as a single mother earlier on after my divorce, it was through networking, through my son's daycare. I would talk to other parents and things like that. So that's how I found out about the sports and other activities to get him involved in through community, through conversation, right?
But
But
see, check this out, right?
that's if you
You
have
had
access to that.
community. You had community. They got the cell phones now. They got the internet. They were just talk. Everybody's talking about it. You can find anything you need on the internet, literally
You can find anything. Yeah.
anything. It's in your face every day. It's just excuses. Again, excuses.
Yep.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not being brutal because I am a
No.
very compassionate person. But when people say things like that and I see it done, I watch the people do it. People even now, right now, you know, my kids graduated from Grayson in 2011. I go to Grayson football games now, and one of the girls that went to school with my kids has a son on the football team. And I'm going, how did that work out? How did that happen? Doing very well because she took advantage of the situation. She paid attention to the things that were out there to help her, etc., etc. It's out there and you can get it. It's on your phone. It wasn't on the phone. I didn't have a
Absolutely.
cell phone. You didn't have a
Okay.
cell
So
phone
let me go
when you
back.
were a
I have
single
a
mom.
comment. Guys, I have a comment, right?
Of
So
course.
someone said back then, everyone raised the children, and that's true,
No,
right? Back
sorry.
then,
Not
you
everyone.
have community, right? We know now you can't trust people like that no more, right? But then somebody,
That
then
that
then the
part is
same
true.
person said the same person said some of the skills and life skills that we know, some of our parents didn't have. Hershey, you said your
That's
mom
true.
was a school teacher. My mom didn't
Yeah.
finish high school. Couldn't. My dad didn't even finish elementary school. He couldn't. He had to go to work. So so
And
th-
I get
he
it.
had to go to work. So there's some manual skills that he could teach us. But then if you have someone that with limited ability to pick up something and read and write, right, efficiently, then you're not going to be able to
Hello?
teach your children everything that they should know. Yes, you can you hear?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if he can
Yep.
hear,
I can hear
but
you.
you know what I'm
I
saying.
hear you
So,
now.
okay, let me go back. So, someone said that some of the skills we have now, we had to learn on our own because our parents didn't have those skills. So, I'm going to say this, right? Hershey, you said your mom was a school teacher. That's great. Obviously, she's graduated high school, went to college, did all the things. That's wonderful. My mom didn't get a chance to do that. I'm not making excuses. My father did a chance to finish his education either, right? But guess what?
But
They were able to teach us, but they were able to teach us manual skills. They were able to teach us some things, but some things we had to go back and we had to teach them, like how to do their checkbook, how to this is how you know what I'm saying. So
okay, but
but
listen,
no, it's
listen,
the
listen, 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 listen. School does not teach you life skills.
I
It
know
don't.
that. What I'm saying, some manual
Yeah.
skills, right? They some things, but some things as an adult, when I became an adult myself, I literally had to go back and help my parents with because they were not able
I,
to do it. So
I get
it's a,
it, but
it's a
those
good
not
point.
life
It's just
skills. Those
so,
aren't those aren't life
you
skills.
so balancing a checkbook is not a life skill.
No.
If you have a
Dealing
person
with
that can,
people,
if you
dealing
have a
with
person that
people, that's just survival. Dealing with people every day, how to talk to people, how to handle situations, those are life
so
skills.
you're
Writing
saying
a checkbook is a life
soft
skill.
skills,
I, I'm,
soft skills are
I've done.
learned. Soft skills
You can
are
learn to write
learned.
a checkbook. You can go to the bank and they'll show you how to write the check. The point, those aren't life skills. Those aren't things you need. You need those things. You don't need to write a check. I literally like probably wrote 3 checks my entire life. I don't have a credit card. Is that a life skill? Like I don't believe in credit cards. If I
No,
can't pay cash, I
it's
can't afford.
not
The
important.
point I'm making is those things aren't life skills. Dealing with people, handling your emotions, all those type of things, taking care of your
Those are
children,
life
those are
skills.
things
I
that take
know,
parents. Those are life
but we're
skills.
talking about But we're talking about all things to survive, right? We're talking about all things when it comes to, survival. There are a lot of things now with technology, right? That some of our listen, my grandkids sometimes have to show me. I had to show me how to work the remote because I didn't know how
Of
to listen.
course.
Right. So what I'm saying that's not a life skill, but what I'm saying is it's there's a two-sided coin, and they're
There
going to
is
be
a
things
two-sided
that
coin.
so they're going to be things, right, that we're gonna have to depend on our children, right? And our children have had to depend on us all the way through their lives. But there's some things as we're getting on the other side of it that we're gonna see some things from them too.
Of
And
course. I need stuff like that every day. I promise you. I mean, my wife is much younger than I am, and she does stuff with computers. Like, I literally can install a whole AC system in your house. But I just learned a few years ago how to use a snipping tool. When I seen that at work, I was like, my God, why didn't I know about this? Because my assistant
right,
showed me. He was like, you didn't know this? And I'm like, no, I didn't know about this. Why you didn't tell me about this? Right? That was like 4 years ago. But I mean, that's the point I'm making. I'm like, but it wasn't going to help me, like, stop me from doing my job, right?
mhm,
It just made my job easier. And that's just how it is. There's going to always be things that are going to be different, you know, it,
mhm,
and we just have to adapt to it. But the regular stuff that you need day to day for real, is just controlling your emotions, being respectful, all those little teeny tangibles that make people people, the adulting side of it. That's, that's just it. My dad wasn't a bright dude, but I didn't take advice from him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't, especially when it came to school. I just, it wasn't necessary. I just did. I figured it out.
mhm.
Like stuff, you figure it out. But it's not something that needs to be taught. Some things are just instinctful. But some things it makes it a lot better when like I felt like I took the hard way around, and I would have rather not have done that, right? And
But you
I
know
made
what?
sure my kids didn't have to do it. That's all.
I really wish we could get into the nature versus nurture concept because we're kind of
Yeah,
teetering on it a
That could be
little
the
bit.
next time.
We're kind of teetering on. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're kind of
I'm curious.
teetering on that line, nature versus nurture because, whew,
yeah.
you know, it's a real
That's pretty
thing.
close
Like
to it. You're right.
it's
Yeah, it is.
yeah. So
So I get it.
yeah, listen. Let's see if we have any more. Let's see. Yep, someone said
Comments.
communications is a life skill. Soft skills, learning how to speak and learning how to recognize your audience. Because you can speak all day long, but you can't you gotta be able to know the audience, right? And you
To
gotta
read
be
the
able to
room.
read the
Yep.
room
Know your audience.
because
Yeah, read the
I
room is
can
a
be
big deal.
abrupt.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can be abrupt in some rooms, and in some rooms you have to be soft. That doesn't mean that you're
yeah.
Right.
sugarcoating, but the way you say it, your tonation, sometimes will make. I can say sit down, or I can say sit down,
You can say sit
and
down.
depending on the room that I just talk loud. You know what I mean? I talk loud, and
Right.
some people may be like, "Did she just tell us to sit down?" So being able to read the room, communicate effectively, understand, and everybody's not going to
You're right.
notice. As an educator myself, inflection and tonation. Mhm.
Ooh, hold on. Let me get my phone out.
Right. Say that again. Can you spell
Inflection
it?
and tonation.
Wait a minute. Keisha,
I
you said it.
certainly can.
Keisha
But
talking with me.
my Keisha knows what I'm talking about. Tonation
She,
and how and inflection.
no, she says it
Yeah.
all the time. I hear those words all the time. I'm like, what? I'm gonna try that.
Yeah,
See,
I
so
skipped
listen,
that part in
she
school.
knows.
No,
That part, I
Yeah.
skipped that part.
I learned that
But I
real
learned that
early,
as a, as a,
real early. Yeah,
yeah.
I never learned it.
I've been
It's
being in
trial and
charge of a
error.
lot of
You
stuff.
gonna learn,
Being in
Andy, you
charge of
gonna
people,
learn
you have to.
today.
Gonna
Yeah,
learn
'cause
today.
I
Trial and
remember.
error.
I remember having meetings with my staff, and I would say something, thinking that hey, we're all men, nobody's gonna be offended, and realize HR called me and be like, hey, you can't say that, right? I'd be like, I can't. I didn't know. I just thought it was dudes just doing dude stuff, but I realized like, okay, I got to bring it back,
In
and
Atlanta.
some people, they need to be held a little more.
Coddled.
So, lady, yeah, be called. Yeah. So I just had to say things, then wait till they leave the room, and then I could be Hershey. So,
Welcome to
you
the
know,
South.
Can I tell you guys
yeah,
something that I used to
indeed.
share in my classroom to my students? I used to tell them all the time, "Hey guys, everybody will joke, or you may say something, and everybody in the room is laughing, but somebody really isn't laughing. So
Oh yeah,
always be
somebody's offended.
sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just know your conversation. Walk in a room and just decide where I'm going to go with this today. With your whatever
Yeah.
conversation you're going to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do this joke now when we have Zoom meetings and say I wasn't on the Zoom, I didn't get the email. And I'd be like, man, I didn't get it, but I'm sorry, we forgot to send it to you. I said because I'm black. And
Ah, I know they feel so uncomfortable, awkward.
it was the funniest. One of the guys I
Hershey.
worked with, we worked close together. He was in tears, white guy. And everybody else was like, is he joking? Like, I don't know what to say. I was like, it's a joke. They
It's
were
a
like,
joke.
oh, well, what's funny then? I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Now they
We
do
got a
it. They be
birthday
like,
for
Read the
Hershey. We
room,
got a
Hershey. Read the room. Read the
well,
room.
they
Read
were
the
okay. I mean, after I was just working there for like 2 months, so they were like, we didn't know if he was serious. But now they do the joke. They were like, we didn't send it to you because you were black. And I was like, I figured that. So now it's funny.
Yeah.
But
Just
I think this has been a great conversation, guys.
you think
Very
so?
informative. Yeah, very
I think so.
informative.
Let me see if we have
A
any.
different
Let's see if we
perspective.
have.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see, and we got to be open to that. Like we really have to be open to one another's thoughts, so that we
Hmm.
just sit down and talk about it and help each other. Because yeah,
Yeah.
we're always that willing to listen to. Well, let's see. Am
Indeed.
I missing any chats? I don't. You
Yeah,
can't
I
hear.
don't see them. But we can
We
hear
hear
you.
you. Yeah, we still hear you.
Oh, I don't have any new, but I think we touched on a whole lot. Um, I think we did get some answers, and we're going to have some folks that agree and disagree, which is why these
Of
Hmm.
course.
conversations are important. They're important, and we want to hear every perspective. I'm always going to come from various perspectives, but I always will always try to make sure that I'm finding something that relates to what I believe
Right.
scripturally. And pretty much we talked about the training and the life lessons and all those things can be found in the Bible. So, I mean, you might see it a different way or bring it out in a different way. And I'm going to bring it out in my message a different way, but it's all the same. We're all training. We're training all the time. We're
Hmm.
training each other.
Life.
We're training
We're students
our
of
children.
life. Yep.
We teach people how to treat us every day,
That's right.
right?
I agree.
You
Yes,
teach
we do.
people how to treat you. So again, if I were to go to the Bible, I'd find a scripture for that too. So what I'm saying is
Hmm.
that, again, this format is for everybody. It is. This format
Everybody.
is for
Indeed.
everybody. I'm glad you were here, Hershey. Thank you for your
Thank
Thank
you.
perspective.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
you, thank you. Andy, thank you.
Thank
You did
you.
an awesome job. Oh, Larry said, great
Oh,
conversation. What's up, Hershey?
What up, player?
Brandon said, Hershey, my dog. What's up?
I love them guys. I swear to God, they so funny. See, they understand me. They my people.
thank
They my people.
But yeah, so we're gonna have to do that, and maybe we can get Markeisha to come on, and we can talk about that nature versus nurture
you. Mm.
She's
conversation.
really good with this stuff. I'm telling you, smartest, one of the smartest people I know. Like I'm
Let's
in
say
awe of
hello.
her.
Is she ready to say hi?
Probably not.
Let's say hi. Let's say hi, Markeisha.
Bring her
Come. Let's say
online.
hi to you. Come on.
Lakeisha, you want to say hi?
I'm good. I'm good.
I think she's good. She said hey, but she literally just walked in the door from that school about 30 minutes ago. She's
Okay.
beat up.
Okay.
She
We
said
get it.
next time though she'll
Listen,
definitely
and
be on.
so
Uh,
okay, awesome. So for everyone that's watching, like if you want to chat some subjects to us, right? Send us
Mm-hmm.
if there's something that you want to talk about, please. And if ever
Yeah.
you'd like to be on live with us as just a co-host, we have, please, it's
Mm-hmm.
open. We're open to it because these conversations need
Yeah.
to be had, right? Um, and
Indeed,
it
they do.
and again, I
Absolutely.
feel free to let's talk about everything. Everything needs to be addressed. People are holding things in. And I think because people are holding things in and not talking about it, that's contributing to a lot of the mental decline. Seriously, because people don't
Yeah.
feel like they have an outlet and they can't hear from
Yeah.
real people, and we have to make sure that we're available to people.
Yeah.
So
Open.
this the
That's true.
get
I
to us.
mean, that's true. You got to talk. I have this thing also. I believe everybody owes a debt. We got to take care of each other for some reason. Somebody pushed you or somebody pulled you.
Forward.
Just take care of each other, man. It's not a big deal. It don't cost you much. Just sit and talk. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
Amen.
again, Andy, thank you. You did an awesome job.
Thank you, Alicia, for trusting me
I told listen, I
to
told you
do
Hershey
this.
was gonna be a trip. No,
I
listen, you
enjoyed
my
every
sister.
moment of it.
Yeah.
Every
Hershey said that he
moment of
couldn't
it.
wait. He said, I want to be at that table. He told me before our first episode, he said, oh, I
I,
want to be at that table.
I needed coffee for
And
him. This is orange juice. I needed some coffee and some espresso shots.
orange juice is high in sugar. Be careful with that. Don't drink so much of it.
He wasn't like this on the call earlier.
Oh,
he
I know.
wasn't.
I was at work when you called me, so I was at my desk working, so I was kind of in that mind.
Yeah,
And
no, but
then
I
I
get it.
and then I closed the laptop, and then Baltimore came out. So,
No,
but
thank you.
I'm just passionate about things. That's all.
As you should be, because you definitely made an impact, and it's definitely appreciated the
Thank
perspective
you.
you shared. And
Well, I appreciate being here. I really enjoyed it.
thank you.
Well, will you come back
Yep.
on
So,
with us?
yeah, heck yeah, I'll come back on with my partner in crime, and she keeps me calm. So,
We got to do a part two with more people on the call, on the actual call.
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then we can
So
address that
maybe
whole forgiveness thing that we didn't get.
yeah, yeah.
that restorative forgiveness. Yeah, that's gonna next
Hmm.
conversation. So that's
Yeah, I
no,
definitely
actually,
want
I had to
to
push
get on
that
that.
back. No, I had to push that back because we have and Andy, I'll talk more to you about this one. We're gonna talk about what
Okay.
about music?
How do you want to go
What
there?
about the
Like, and what?
well, yeah, well, we'll talk more about it, but it's gonna be very, very
Okay.
interesting. And Hershey, you're a musician, so I'll share it with you as well. But it's going to be well, I guess I can tell you. And but we're
Yeah.
not going to get a discussion. Absolutely not.
Okay.
So from a Christian perspective versus a secular perspective, what about the music and how do they or should they, be intertwined?
Yeah,
And,
Intertwined
and
in terms of.
in terms
yeah, I
of,
can't
do
wait for
you
that
have
one.
some? So, and we'll talk. Let's talk. We'll go offline, but
Yeah,
you
let's
guys
start.
stay
This is
on.
interesting. Don't
We're
start
Yeah,
any
in the
trouble
stream.
now, Alicia.
Okay, so
that's gonna
just
be
so
a
you
good one.
know, it's not no trouble. It's perspective. It's perspective, and we have listen. Listen. Watch my friend, my good friend Hershey laugh. Listen, this is it right here for me. So, listen.
I read
Thank
that
you.
thing. I read it.
Thank
Yeah,
thank you
that's why I feel the way I do. But we'll talk about that face to face because it's heavy. It's gonna be too heavy.
okay.
I want to be there for that
Okay.
conversation.
No
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely. So let's just I'm gonna get some questions. So guys, we meet every Friday. We have a conversation every Friday night at 7:30. We our time frame is really 40 minutes, but we get sometimes it gets good like this, and we go over, and we
Indeed.
went over, and I don't think anybody's minding that tonight, right? I don't think you
They
guys
be all
mind
right.
too much, but
No, we
we
don't mind. We
went
ain't got nothing
over,
to do tonight.
but it was necessary. We're getting ready to get bombarded with snow. So, Andy, there's a couple things that we want to revisit. We definitely want to
Two inches.
revisit this conversation with Jermaine. We want to revisit this conversation and get into
Absolutely.
the nature versus nurture, and we definitely want to get into the road to forgiveness because that's serious.
Restorative
That's a
forgiveness.
good
That's right.
conversation. Yep.
Yes, it is.
All right. You want
Maybe
to
we
say
could do
something
that one
before we
next.
close?
Yeah, I kind of think that
Well,
restorative forgiveness is urgent.
you think it's urgent? Okay, let's talk. I guess we'll
Let's
end the
talk.
stream, but do you guys have something to say to our audience before we leave? Hey, cousin Daryl. Hey, Kyra.
Nope. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
do.
who's on, so hey.
Yeah, I don't know who's listening, but I just want to encourage anyone under the sound of my voice that who might be contemplating suicide or feeling depressed or feeling like the world is on their shoulders. Um, it won't always
Mhm,
be like this. Those feelings do come and go. If you're a person of faith, that's why God tells us to cast our cares upon Him, for He cares for us, right? That's the reason
mhm,
for our faith. Or why believe in anything if you can't rely on a source that's higher than you? So I just want to encourage you to know that trouble don't last always. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And even though it's easier said than done, you are not alone. You are
right,
definitely not
right.
alone. And this is not a commercial, Hershey, because I see his posture. But no, seriously, I just, because I know we're living in trying times, the energy is definitely different due to politics, financial reasons. People are out of work. A lot of people are out of work. And so finances do make you feel like you're depressed, right? When in all actuality, you just broke. And that's a real situation. So just be encouraged, don't lose your faith because sometimes that's all you have. You're here for a reason. And just remember, one day at a time. If you made it
And
yesterday, you
it's
can
so
make it today.
and it's okay to
It's
go
so what?
get some help. It's
It's
okay to go up
okay
to a
to get
counselor,
help.
a
And it's okay
therapist.
to say you need help. Yep.
Yep,
It's
it's
okay to say
absolutely
you
okay.
need help. Yep.
Yep,
It
and
is.
we'll
You should say
listen.
it.
There's been a
Yep. You
lot of
should say you
things.
need help.
Yep, please say it. Say it out loud, and don't be embarrassed.
That's
Nothing to be
right.
embarrassed.
So that's all I
But
really wanted to say.
again,
That's all I
we're
really
here
wanted
every
to say.
Friday. Listen, tap into our podcast Facebook pages and our TikTok page. You can leave information there on those. Of course, some people are on my personal Facebook page. Share this because the engagement matters. What we talk about is important. I think it's really important, and we have some awesome people that come on with us, and we're gonna talk about it.
Right.
We're
And
gonna
none
talk
of this
about
is
everything.
rehearsed. This is all live.
None
This
of
is all unabridged. None of this is rehearsed. Authentic people with real situations that have overcome a whole lot.
Yep,
Right. That's why we're able to
absolutely.
speak confidently and what we're saying. So absolutely.
Yeah. Come on.
Absolutely. Well, you guys hang out. The three of us are gonna say goodbye to everyone else. We're gonna end the live stream now, but hopefully we'll see you
Okay.
guys on Friday. Hershey and Andy hang out with me, okay? Take
All
care,
right.
Okay.
bye.